After 4 long years of waiting, Euphoria finally returned, and fans expected one. After 4 long years of waiting, Euphoria finally returned, and fans expected one thing above everything else. They expected the same emotional chaos, unforgettable visuals, addictive storytelling, and intense energy that made the show one of the biggest cultural phenomena of the last few years. Instead, after the season 3 premiere, many viewers were left with a strange feeling they couldn't ignore. The show was back, but something felt missing. It looked like Euphoria on the surface, but deep down, it didn't feel like the same series anymore. That reaction has started a huge conversation online because for many fans, this isn't just about one disappointing episode. It feels like the soul of the show has changed. When Euphoria first premiered, it instantly stood out from everything else on television. It was bold, risky, emotional, stylish, and impossible to ignore. Every episode felt like a fever dream mixed with a raw emotional breakdown. The cinematography was stunning, the performances were powerful, and the soundtrack elevated every scene into something unforgettable. Even people who criticized the writing still admitted the show had a unique identity. There was nothing else quite like it. Whether you loved it or hated it, Euphoria made people feel something. That emotional intensity became the reason so many viewers stayed invested. The truth is, Euphoria was never just about parties, drugs, sex, or shocking scenes. Underneath all the glitter and chaos, it was really about loneliness, addiction, insecurity, trauma, and the desperate need to be loved. Rue's struggle with addiction gave the show emotional weight. Jules represented identity and vulnerability. Cassie reflected the pain of needing validation. Nate embodied toxic control and hidden rage. Maddy carried confidence mixed with hurt. Lexi showed what it felt like to be invisible in a loud world. Each character symbolized something deeper than what they showed on the outside. That emotional foundation is what made the series powerful. Now in season 3, many viewers feel that emotional foundation is weaker than ever. One of the biggest reasons is the amount of time that passed between seasons. 4 years may not sound like much in real life, but in television, it can change everything. The world that watched Euphoria in 2019 is not the same world watching it now. Culture changed, trends changed, audiences changed. The things that once felt fresh and controversial have now been copied by countless other shows. The visual style that once shocked people has become more common. The themes that once felt daring are now more openly discussed everywhere. That means Euphoria returned to a world that no longer reacts the same way. During that break, the cast also changed dramatically. Zendaya became an even bigger global star. Sydney Sweeney turned into one of Hollywood's most in-demand actresses. Jacob Elordi rose into leading man status. Hunter Schafer expanded her career with major projects. The actors evolved, matured, and became larger celebrities while the show stayed frozen in time. That creates a challenge many series can't survive. When actors grow beyond the roles that made them famous, the audience begins to see them differently too. Another major reason the show feels different is the time jump inside the story itself. Moving the characters out of high school may have been necessary, but it also removed one of the most important parts of the original formula. Most fans focused on the drama between the characters, but the high school setting was secretly the engine that made everything work. High school traps people together. You can't avoid your ex. You can't hide from the person who betrayed you. You can't escape rumors, awkward moments, jealousy, or conflict. No matter what happened at a party, everyone still has to show up the next day and face each other. That constant pressure created endless tension in the earlier seasons. Every hallway could become a battlefield. Every classroom could become uncomfortable. Every football game or party could explode into chaos. Now that the characters are adults, that natural pressure is gone. If two people hate each other, they can simply stay apart. If someone wants distance, they can move on. Adult life is more realistic in many ways, but it often creates less forced drama. And Euphoria thrived on forced drama. The show needed those collisions, those awkward run-ins, those moments where people had no choice but to confront each other. Without that, the energy changes immediately. Then, there is the biggest complaint many fans keep repeating online. The characters no longer feel like themselves. Character growth is normal. In fact, it's necessary. People change a lot between high school and adulthood, but there is a difference between realistic growth and writing that makes characters feel disconnected from who they once were. Take Nate, for example. In earlier seasons, Nate was terrifying because he always felt dangerous. He was manipulative, emotionally cold, and psychologically dominant. Even when he was unraveling, he still felt like someone capable of controlling the room. Now, many viewers feel he has lost that sharp edge. Instead of being intimidating, he feels passive and strangely hollow. That could be intentional, but if the audience doesn't understand the emotional journey that caused the change, it simply feels inconsistent. Cassie is another example. Cassie was always desperate for love and validation, but she was also deeply emotional and painfully human. Her bad choices came from wounds people could understand. Now, some fans feel she has become a louder, flatter version of herself. Instead of a tragic character, she sometimes feels like a caricature of who she used to be. That is dangerous for any drama because once audiences stop believing in characters, they stop caring what happens to them. Even Rue, the emotional heart of the series, feels different to some viewers. Earlier seasons made every terrible decision she made feel believable because the audience could feel her pain. They understood the addiction, the emptiness, the fear. Now, some scenes feel more focused on creating shocking situations than revealing Rue's inner world. And when Rue loses emotional clarity, the whole show feels less grounded. Another massive reason the show feels different is something many casual viewers may not consciously notice at first: the music. Labyrinth's score was one of the most important parts of Euphoria. His sound helped define the identity of the show. The haunting vocals, spiritual undertones, dreamy production, and emotional crescendos transformed scenes into unforgettable moments. A simple walk down a hallway could feel legendary because of the music. A breakdown could feel transcendent. A quiet scene could suddenly feel heartbreaking. That score was not decoration. It was storytelling. Without that musical identity, many scenes now feel colder. Even if replacement music is technically strong, it doesn't carry the same emotional fingerprint. Viewers may not immediately know why the atmosphere feels different, but they feel it. Music shapes memory. It shapes emotion. It creates subconscious connection. Losing that signature sound makes the series feel less like itself. There is also an older criticism that has now become louder than ever. For years, some people argued that Euphoria relied too heavily on style over substance. But in seasons 1 and 2, the emotional performances often balanced that criticism. Rue's pain felt real. Jules' confusion felt real. Cassie's desperation felt real. Lexi's loneliness felt real. There was enough emotional truth beneath the beauty to keep people invested. Now, some viewers feel the style remains, but the emotional depth has weakened. The visuals are still polished, the camera work is still expensive looking, the makeup, fashion, and lighting are still designed to stand out. But when style no longer serves meaningful storytelling, it starts to feel hollow. Beautiful emptiness can only carry a show for so long. Eventually, audiences need to feel something deeper. Many fans also believe success itself may have changed the series. Season 1 felt hungry. It felt like a show trying to prove it deserved attention. There was rawness, unpredictability, and risk. It wanted to shock people because it had something to say. Now the show returns knowing it is famous. It knows every scene will be analyzed online. It knows people call it iconic. It knows every outfit will trend and every controversy will become headlines. That kind of self-awareness can damage art. Once a show becomes conscious of its own image, it can start performing instead of expressing. Instead of telling the truth, it starts trying to look legendary. Audiences can sense that immediately. They may not describe it that way, but they feel when something is trying too hard to be important. There is another hidden reason many people aren't discussing enough. The audience itself has matured. The people who connected with Euphoria years ago were younger. Many of them were in school or close to that phase of life. They related to insecurity, identity confusion, toxic love, peer pressure, and emotional instability. Now, many of those same viewers are older. Their tastes changed, their expectations changed, their tolerance for empty shock value changed.